Let's talk some bounties. Let's do it.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Bounty Talk.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot speak already. This is a great start. Yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be a One Piece podcast where we get together, talk about the latest chapters, talk about what we love about the series. But first, we should do some introductions because why would you listen to just two random people on the Grand Line?
I know.
And just so I'll go first. Hello. My name is Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hello. I have been, when it comes to One Piece, I've been following One Piece for 4 years now. Yeah. And we'll go a little bit more into it.
Yeah.
But hello. Outside of this, you can also find me on Twitch and other places. Yeah. I stream Ramen Bomber and do YouTube content too. But that's besides the point. Yeah. Hello.
I'm Cameron, newer fan. I just caught up to One Piece. Really just a month ago, I kind of streamed the whole thing, ran straight through it. So yeah, we thought it'd be a really fun kind of perspective thing. To have somebody who's been in the new world for years and a newcomer who just arrived.
Yeah.
We were super excited about that. I want to talk some differences, but again, we have our other things. We all do a bunch of different content. So links will be below all over the place. Let's talk some bounties.
Yes, let's go. So, for our first episode, we wanted to give an introduction to how we are as One Piece fans. So, I wanted to talk more about how we got into each individually got into the series. Because when we met, you weren't caught up yet at all.
I was Alabasta.
Yeah. You were not there yet at all. Yeah. I guess you don't really know my story first.
I don't.
So I started reading One Piece way back in 2018. So I want to say around 4 years. Yeah, 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I started reading it.
Crazy.
Because I was in a moment where I was just consuming almost any manga content I could.
Totally.
And I figured I think right before it, I had read through Dragon Ball Z for the first time.
Wow.
So I just finished that. So my brain was okay, where do we go? Where do I go from here? What can I read next? And then One Piece was just looming over. And I knew maybe one or two people that read it, but it was a complete mystery to me. And because of how massive in scope it was, I was oh gosh, do I go into this? Do I dive into this? So I went into it, and initially it wasn't an initial love at first sight.
Really?
Right?
But you're the One Piece guy.
I am the One Piece guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I first started, I did not like Luffy.
Wow. Really?
I did not like him. I was it was so, which is so weird because looking back on him, I love him, right? But I think it was his arrogance and his cockiness.
He's cocky. He's
alongside just how rude he was in the beginning of the series. I'm I don't know if I love him or not. And that was a point of contention for me. I don't know if I like this 100%, but I want to keep going. But I did, and I got more and more into it. And flash forward 4 years later, here I am. Yeah. And I think making a whole podcast on it.
Yeah.
But I think what I ended up loving about 1,000 chapters later, what I ended up loving so much about it was I started out not liking Luffy, not liking a lot of the character designs or anything, but I came to love just how unique and crazy this world was, and also on top of that, just seeing how he was able to grow, Oda was able to just grow his characters and grow his world to such an crazy degree that's unlike anything else I've ever seen before. Yeah. And then eventually, as you go on further and further into the story, Luffy gets more of a crew and you find out more about the world. That was one aspect that drew me in completely. I was okay, this is what I love about it. And that's the crew of the Straw Hat Pirates. They legit feel like family. And getting a new member of the crew feels like when you're playing a JRPG or something that you really like, and you get a brand new character that a brand new main character joining the cast, and it's oh my gosh, this is cool. I can't wait to see where they go. I can't wait to see all the different interactions.
Backstory
and just seeing. And I think what makes the crew work so well is that, and what makes the series work so well as an insane long form story that it is that you come to really want to see every single Straw Hat fulfill their goal.
You do.
You want to see Luffy become Pirate King. You want to see Nami map out the entire world. And it's like, you want to follow their journeys. And you want to see them actually accomplish that. And like, they get closer and closer as the story goes on, and like, as it builds up more. So that's where I ended up loving this about it so much. So that's where I am with my story. So
that's great. And I want to like comment on that too. The fact that they're a group of people that like being together. That's so rare nowadays in like anime and manga. You have all the characters like, I don't want to be here, but I will be to save the world. No, dude, they're fun. Like, they love each other. They're having a great time.
They feel like family.
They do.
And like, you can feel like, and that's what, to go off on that too. Like, there are so many series I can think of where you have a cast of main characters, but they don't interact with each other.
They don't.
You have no idea. Yeah, you have no idea how like Gohan would interact with like I don't know.
Even like, Vegeta, like he barely talks to Vegeta.
You have no idea what their relationship is. Yeah, but with the Straw Hats, like you can pick a random 2 Straw Hats and you instantly know no matter what combination you get, you know what their interactions and conversations would be like and what their dynamic is like, which I love about that.
And it's because they're so full of personality, and that's what brought me in. Like, as a newer fan, right? I think there's like a fun dynamic. That's why I really was excited to do this video, because you started out when you were younger. And that changes things, because I've been around. I was watching anime. I went through my phase where I was just like consuming media. I remember trying One Piece. I too did not love it, for the sole reason that the first few arcs are a little dry.
Yes.
He's like, Oda's getting his feet wet. He's figuring himself out with like the characters, the world, the pacing. And so it's kind of like, look, I get it.
And looking back on that, it's like, I don't know why I kept reading when I because it's not a strong start.
It's not.
Yeah.
And I think anybody would agree with it. It's, I think, better if you started One Piece, right? I don't know how old you'd have to be to start it when it first came out, and you've been keeping up with it. Congrats. Because even blowing through it, like just like running through all the chapters and stuff, I was like, all right, I kind of get it, you know? And I think it makes it worse when you've seen other anime and manga, and you have, like, as kid me had the option of like, I could sit through what I know is going to end up being a masterclass in world building and character development. I could sit through that to get to the good stuff. But Tanjiro's over there with a water sword, and I want to see what that looks like.
Yeah. And I think that's like a big thing too, where like One Piece doesn't get to that point where it's like, oh, the fights are cool and the action is good until way later on.
So far down.
Yeah.
So, and I want to real quick kind of like go off of that. I want to have bigger breakdowns of everything. We're going to do a bunch of that stuff on the channel. So stick around for that. But real quick, from a longtime fan versus a short perspective fan, what arcs do you think fall into that like, oh man, that was a slog reading for, because you had to wait for chapters? And what arcs were you like, I could not wait for it?
So
super quick.
This is an interesting conversation, because I did not get caught up until Wano. Probably like halfway throughout Wano. And so for the majority of the entire experience, I was like, I just had the chapters there.
Yeah.
Which is like such a weird feeling, because that's one of the other reasons I love about One Piece, where it's like, its length is a huge barrier to entry for a lot of people. But I think that's one of the best parts about it, because it's like that moment in time where you just have endless chapters to go through,
and you're running,
and it's like, it's just like, oh, there's so much here. I love it, and it's all rich. And it's like, I know some people are just like, their idea, like their goal is to like just go through all of it. Go through all of it just to finish it.
Just
but it's like,
stuff,
I loved taking my time with it. That's why it took me 4 years to catch up of consistent reading. I think the only times where I took a little bit of a break was Whole Cake, when I was going through Whole Cake Island, and I was like right over that hump. But no, part of it was like the fact that I loved reading through it, and I loved taking my time with it, because it's just it's a huge experience that reading for the first time, you're never going to get again.
Yes.
You're never ever going to get it again. But in terms of actual arcs that I would say like were a little bit of slog, I would say the 2 that stand out in my mind, there's like 3 actually. Never mind, there's 3.
Okay.
It would be a little bit of the beginning.
Yeah,
a little bit of the beginning, like a little bit of the trudge. Skypiea.
I get that. I understand.
And then Whole Cake Island.
Okay, fair. If you said Punk Hazard, I would.
Oh, no way. I love Punk Hazard.
As everybody can see, I'm a Law fanboy.
Just a little bit of a Law fan.
Not like I'm biased, okay? I understand that there's pacing problems throughout, like Punk Hazard and stuff. I understand that the story takes a weird little turn.
Yeah.
I think that was, I don't have confirmation. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but originally Oda, as rumor has it, intended for Law to be a villain. He's definitely introduced that way as like a rival villain type.
Yeah.
People loved him though. I get that. It's so cool seeing him do things, getting the beginnings of his backstory. It was like peak Law with his manipulation of other characers. I get that.
Like, you feel like he was really trying to be in control of like everything.
The situation, and
Luffy is just like, nope. You're in my crew now.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. They tied Chopper to his hat.
Yeah,
that's
oh my gosh,
face.
that's whole. It's so good. It's so good.
But in terms of arcs that were a slog, I really didn't want to watch Skypiea because I was still watching it. I didn't start off reading.
Yeah,
I started off watching.
See, I think that's a huge point that I want to go into. You started watching the anime. I had never watched the anime because I knew going into it that it had a lot of filler. And eventually it got to the point where, because it's a weekly series, it's not seasonal.
The pace,
that's when I knew. I was like, I'm not doing that. So and I was a bigger reader. I'm a bigger reader anyways over watching stuff. So that's why I did it. But like, what was that experience like as like going from watching to reading? Because where did you start? You started reading around Paramount War.
So I started when I was a kid, right? I started off watching it. I think I got to like Usopp's introduction and his whole arc, and then I kind of stopped. Right? It got boring to me. I was like, whatever. I want to go watch. I think it was genuinely. I can't remember. I think it was World Trigger. I started watching.
I haven't seen World Trigger. It's like one of those things that I'm always like, I want to get into it, but it's like I haven't just made a dive.
Different conversation for a different day. Funny thing is, it has similar problems to One Piece, so it didn't help. But anyway,
it's really funny.
I watched it, didn't get into it. Came to college, right? So like about 3-ish years ago, I was like, okay, maybe I'll start again. And then I started to get into like Alabasta and like that arc, the weird Vivi stuff. I still wasn't feeling it. It wasn't really grabbing my attention.
So you were that far in, you still weren't feeling it yet.
Yeah, because like right before Alabasta is like the weird like Vivi is Miss Wednesday. I think that was her name for a while.
There was that,
and they're in the I love Laboon. He's fantastic. Don't you get me started when Brooke ties him back into it.
Oh my gosh,
amazing.
Yeah,
but it's boring. That part is boring. Him and the whale, to me at least.
I think for me around that time you find out more about how the Grand Line actually works. You get like the explanation for the oh my gosh, the compasses.
The log poses.
Yeah, the log poses.
Thank you.
And you get more information on how like the world actually works and how you actually traverse it. So that was what kept me interested then. For me, it wasn't until Arlon Park where I was like, oh, I'm in. Like, this is fire. Well, so it's interesting to hear that you still weren't 100% feeling it even after the Alabasta, which many would consider like to be like up until that point peak One Piece. Like. Yeah. I
think part of it has to do with watching it. Watching it, like reading the information, like that's how log poses work, okay? And you keep like going through it. Hearing somebody explain it to you while nothing visually is happening on the screen is a little boring. That said, right, and I want to give my piece on like Alabasta real quick too as a watcher. It's fine, but knowing what I know, which is another huge thing, right? I knew about hockey. I knew about the different types of devil fruits. I partially knew about like log poses because I had friends that would explain it. I would see Twitter stuff. I didn't have it.
You were completely blind into One Piece when you went into
Not even close. Okay. I knew like for Water 7, like Rob Lucci and everything. I knew basically everything that was going to happen. I knew about Ace, everything. And so when I'm going through it, right, the things that kept me there, the crew interactions. Seeing them be people, have fun with each other, discover things, and the minute things too. Like nobody really told me about the poneglyphs, so that was new for me. I enjoyed that. That said, Alabasta was when I knew that hockey should be a thing, when I knew that they weren't using it, so crocodile's like a weird situation. I wasn't fully sold on Luffy's goofiness yet. So the way he defeats him with the water thing.
And the water jugs, and then he just spits the water on him.
In like looking back at it, that was actually really funny because I have cooler stuff now where I got to see him be badass. Before then, they're not that badass yet. Yeah. Water 7 though
is when it's like
it had me. At Water 7, Ennis Lobby, I was in, and I was still watching at that point too. I think their pacing gets a bit better. I think the animation and like their use of like the still frames gets better. And then I hit like my favorite arc genuinely, even more than Punk Hazard.
Okay.
The Sabati Archipelago.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's a very good choice.
Watch
Very, very good choice.
Chef's Kiss.
I think during that part, because I've seen clips from that part of the show, and the voice acting elevates it to an insane level because you just hear the absolute like despair in all of the voice actors like performances, which makes it hit so much harder. But yeah, like I think it's really interesting going from that perspective of like, you know, knowing certain things about it already, because I had known almost nothing about the series going into it. I knew some things through cultural osmosis, like I knew Sabo was alive. I knew he gets some weird gear transformations, but I didn't know what it meant, right? Yes. I had like I legitimately have like almost next to no idea outside of stuff that's just like in the big cultural osmosis.
And that.
But
I want to ask real quick, what was it like? Because as we're like kind of going through new versus old, what was it directly like when they were at that Saboti Archipelago? I always mess it up though. It's Saboti Archipelago. Saboti Archipelago.
Saboti.
Right, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what.
Yeah.
So going through that, when you're watching it, there's the animation, right? Like there's the famous scene where he punches the noble and everything. That beautiful, by the way. But there are other little things where I think it actually gets a bit rougher and it makes it better. Watching Luffy break down in kind of this low res fashion, and it's not this crisp animation like a close face up. It's just this kind of like mess. Almost.
It's a mess, and it's on purpose.
And it brings it out of you. How is it like reading? Because I've never even seen those chapters.
It is very good. I think it hits just as hard reading it. Yeah. But it's on a different level in the anime because you have the voice performances.
You do.
Like, you can feel the despair in the moment and just like what is happening. And I can only imagine what it must have been like to read that weekly.
That must have been insane.
And to have no idea if any of these main characters were going to see each other again. If they were going to get back together, where they went, if they were dead, if they weren't.
You didn't know it teleported. You had no idea. For that.
And like you see, like Luffy gets sent off, and like you spend so much time. It's not until after the war where you find out what happened to the other crew.
Everybody else.
And it's like that's like at least like 100 chapters without the main characters together.
Oh yeah.
So I think there's just like the moment and emotional weight of the story itself still really elevates it. And Oda's artwork is just like it gets so like that's another thing too. Like you really see the growth in like coming from my perspective where I wasn't really getting into it in the beginning.
Yeah.
A lot of it was because of the art. The art in the beginning is very goofy. It's very like, you know, rudimentary. But you don't see like you can even see it here.
You can really like, look at this.
His growth as an artist is
that's actually
bar none. It's insane. Like it's so good. Like you go back like even 100 chapters from where you were. It's like whoa. Like this is great. And the quality of like maybe his page layouts and stuff gets a little bit later on.
You can argue it. I see what you mean.
But the actual art itself is like, oh my gosh. Like, I think seeing that growth is like, makes going back and revisiting older parts of the series, like, even more fun.
Oh, for sure. Same thing with like Tower of God and stuff, too. If you ever read or seen that, his art improved. And that's so fun tracking it. I have a fun little story. I didn't watch One Piece at this point, but I was like talking with a friend about it. And he was saying like, dude, I was trying One Piece, can't get into it, hate the art style. And he was like, he's a bad artist. And I stopped him there. I was like, all right, hold on. He has a weird art style. For sure. A bad artist. Undebatable.
Yeah.
But I pulled up because he was arguing that he liked the Hunter x Hunter art more. Kurashi's not a bad artist, by the way.
No.
But I was comparing what he enjoyed.
Early Hunter x Hunter.
Versus early One Piece. One Piece. I'm like, dude, look, just everything from character design to like the shading and stuff, the perspectives. You know, I was like, One Piece really does have it. Neither of them are bad artists.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at it side by side, you can't say one is a good artist without complimenting the other and what they can do.
Yeah. Because they're both growth. Like,
it is.
It's all, when it comes to like writing manga, and it's like, you really see the growth over long periods of time.
Yeah. I think, because getting to like growth and all, right? I want to hear your perspective on now that we've caught up a bit. We've had chapters, you know, we have other time to go into the in-between things. Let's start talking about Wano a little bit.
Okay.
How do you feel as like, you know, you had longer periods where you did not have chapters. I kind of got to read through Wano like up until the end.
Yeah.
To give everybody perspective, I came around, I think the exact chapter was Frankie versus the, what's it called guy?
The Triceratops.
Yes, he's a Triceratops. Right? Yeah. I can't remember his name. That was like the chapter that I fully caught up on, and then I had to start waiting.
So for me, I wanted to, one of my goals for 2020 or 2021, whenever like chapter 1000 was coming out, was to be caught up before chapter 1000.
Okay.
It did not happen because I got burnt out. Like I got to Wano, and I think I stopped right around when Luffy is in the prison. And
okay.
Yeah, I stopped around there. I was like,
that's a weird time.
Yeah, it's like a weird part of the pacing, like a little bit, because then you see like I didn't realize Wano was going to be this huge, right? So I took like a break for like a couple of months. So I chapter 1000 passes, and I go through. It's like, you know what? Let me try going into it again. And then like I go through like the prison break. It's like, all right, and then it's like we get to the Odin flashback.
Yeah.
And then I remember why I love this series.
Oh yeah.
So much. It's so good. Like seeing the payoff for so much stuff being built up and seeing the actual story that he wanted to tell in Wano for so long, and seeing how far back it stretches back.
Yes.
Seeing the actual end, like, because this is when it starts feeling like the end. We're in the end of One Piece right now.
Oh, for sure.
And then you actually see that when you see Roger's crew see One Piece. When you see
I remember
his actual like journey of like Odin joining his crew and everything. It's like, like that's like the insane like just like chunk of world building there is like. This is why I love this series.
For sure.
So that's where and then like after that, I was like, okay, I'm going through this, and then like I binged through the rest of Wano, and then I caught up.
That's so fair, dude.
But so I've been reading week to week for about maybe like since last summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, since last, which is not like you still have had a decent
That's a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did have to suffer through it a bit. The law again. Spoilers if you're not caught up fully for Wano.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have thrown up on the screen at some point. But like the Law and Kid and versus Big Mom fight. As you guys know, I'm a huge Law fan.
He is.
That was excruciating to wait for. Like catching up right then and there. When that started, I had to keep waiting, and I love.
And then you get a chapter, and it's like, but it's cutting back to the Zoro fight, and now it's at the Sanji fight, and
I love them.
Yeah,
it was great. Peak fighting, really. I mean, like he really did get back into his roots. Yeah. I'll say it's especially coming hot off the trails because I really did kind of read straight through it. I'm sure you still can recognize it though. Like the goofier side of the first part of the story, and then when you get to this. He brings it back. The constant reference to this is how dinosaurs are.
Yeah.
It's so out there.
It's so good. It's like, I don't think pterodactyls can do that and pull like their beaks back. And it's like, but who knows? We never saw dinosaurs, so who are we to tell Oda that they could never do that?
Or the what's it called again? The brachiosaur or whatever?
Yeah.
Shoots out into a snake. Sanji's body. Like, because... Yeah, you get more like injuries, but just to compare it to like Punk Hazard, where he did have some comedy with the dude. I didn't really love that in all honesty. He always had food on his face.
Oh, yeah,
I thought it made him a bit less of a threat. I think that he should just played it straight with him.
I liked it. I liked it. I thought it was funny.
That was fun.
But yeah, like...
That said, that comedy versus what I thought was a lot funnier was in the middle of a fight, he pulled this off no less. Sanji's body being mangled and broken, and he's like, I'm perfectly fine.
And then, Or you just see like Zoro go through this insane fight that he almost dies in, and then for the rest of arc, he's been carried around in like this T-pose cross. And it's so funny. Like, and that's one of the things I love about One Piece too. It's just like you can get really, really serious with it and get serious, but then it always keeps that lighthearted humor. That Oda goofiness where it's like, this is so sick and like raw, but at the same time, it's like, this is ridiculous. Like,
for sure. And it doesn't undercut the tension in an annoying way.
It doesn't. Which is very surprising because like with other anime or manga and series in general, like you'll find moments where like did you really need to put a joke right there?
You did it. It cuts
and a lot of, and like maybe sometimes a lot of it's like fan service, that kind of thing, which Oda still does. But
so much.
Oh yeah, but I think he doesn't do it in the same ways that like it completely detracts from the tension of a moment.
I think you're
very
right.
Good.
And he's so good, by the way. Before we move on, he is a masterclass at looking at like a battlefield. And having someone's victory or defeat affect the other
things that are happening.
The hole going area. Through.
Yes.
The sword. Like, this has been the best it's ever been.
And this is just in Wano. Like, he's done this many times before in places like Dressrosa and Fishman Island.
What's it called? Noah's Ark?
Yes.
I don't. Yeah. It's just the Ark, right? I don't think it's
No, it's called Noah's Ark.
Oh, it is? Okay, so it is straight up. Okay.
Yeah.
But, now that anything else you want to say on that, by the way, before I...
No, I think we can transition to like the next talk because we want to talk a little bit about like where we are right now, how we feel about the series right now, a little bit and how we got into it. But I think another fun way of doing that is by going through, at least it sounds like one of our favorite parts of One Piece as a whole, and that's the Straw Hat Pirates and like the main characters.
Best. I love them.
So what we want to do is we both came up with a list.
We did.
We wanted to show just like to give you guys our taste of how our tastes are in One Piece in terms of its characters.
Who we are as people.
Yeah, we ranked the Straw Hats. We ranked them from worst to best.
Yep.
I want to clarify going straight into it. I don't hate any of them. I love all of them. Close. Yeah, not even close.
They're all top 10 characters.
This was so hard to do for me because I love every single one of these characters. But at the same time, it's like certain moments where it's like I love one character more because of this, like in a certain moment, and then later on I'll be like, I'm not feeling them right now, right here. But like, it's such a flip flop because I have to remember the highs I had with that character. Right?
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through our number 1 through 10. So in terms of like how we're setting this up,
we're gonna do like 10 to 1.
We're doing the main crew. And Jinbei. He's part of the crew.
He's on the crew,
right? So we're doing up to Jinbei. We're not counting the other side. I don't want to call them side Straw Hats because in my heart of hearts, Vivi is still a Straw Hat.
Yeah, unofficial.
But it's been so long that it's like I don't want to count her. So, but like unofficial Straw Hats like Vivi, Carrot,
Yamamoto, Law.
If they have not been actively said they are part of the crew, and the marketing is like Luffy they are part of the crew.
Put the cup down, say you're on it. What about the tree guy and the horse from Thriller Bark?
Oh my gosh, that's
Luffy
so funny.
said he wanted that. They're on the crew. Yeah. Put them on the rankings.
Yeah, they're there.
They're 1 and 2
for sure. We haven't seen them in like a million chapters. That's fine. But yeah, so we're gonna do them. We're gonna rank. We're gonna share our rankings. We're going to go from worst to best.
Yes. Again, worst being I don't like them as much as other Straw Hats.
Yes.
But they're still fantastic.
Okay.
And because obviously you guys are going to think, well, you might think we're great people. You might think we're the scum of the earth. Mm-hmm. Let us know in the comments below what your ranking was and why we're wrong and why we're stupid.
Yeah. It'll be great. Yeah. So I will go first.
You want to do like 1 and 1? Like you give 1, I give 1?
We'll do one. We'll do like 1 that. So I'll go first, right?
Yes. Who's your?
So 10? My number 10 at the bottom, and it pains me because it's Chopper.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Chopper a lot.
Okay.
I like Chopper a lot in the early series. But in the early series, he's like way higher up.
Oh yeah.
I think like he gets introduced and he's like, okay, he's the animal mascot, right?
He is.
But it gets introduced first and foremost as a character.
He does.
Which is so good. I love his whole backstory.
He plays on your heart.
It's such an emotionally like tugging backstory, which is like super like you feel for him so badly. And then you see him go through like it's like, oh, he's a vital part of the crew. Like, like he's like in the beginning he's like, okay, like he's a vital part of the crew. But then as the series goes on, it seems like he's just like he's the Band-Aid fix. Yes. He's the Band-Aid fix for like, okay, anything can happen. Anything can like dangerous and crazy can happen to these characters, and Chopper will just be fine. And I guess maybe it's harder to like show actual growth as a doctor in a fictional world.
Yes,
to kind of show how much he's been growing and how difficult it is what he's doing. I think that's why I feel less connected to him as like in terms of like what he does in terms of others. And I guess that diminishes even more when like later in the series, like I don't like his fights as much because they like the way Oda kind of developed him, where it's like, oh, the one thing that made his fights interesting was that he had to switch between these different forms and think about them, whether or not he uses Monster Point and like loses all control, and that kind of tension that brings from that all gets like thrown out after New World, which I am not a fan of at all.
Like Kung Fu Point.
Like
good.
I don't like there's nowhere near as much strategy with how he has to fight.
He doesn't
and like
use like brain point anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah,
like the
little thing that he does.
Beam without. He's gonna shoot a beam. That's one of my favorite jokes.
Oh man, but yeah, like I even despite me not really liking like being as attached to what he does to the crew as a whole now and his fights, I still love him as a character a lot. I think he's really cute. I can't not say that he's cute, not cute, and his interaction with the crew. But I
totally get you.
So that I still love Chopper, less so compared to everyone else, especially less so after New World. But that's why he's number 10 for me.
That's fair. I'll defend Chopper a little bit more when we get to where he's in my rankings.
Okay.
I think this is going to be controversial. I'm not doing it for shock value. I'm going to explain it. My 10th seed, Jinbei. Jinbei is my 10th.
I get it. Because he's just like... Go ahead.
Yeah. Straight up, my reason, I'm not as attached to him. We've seen him for a while. He's not new, but while I can imagine him interacting with the rest of the crew, we haven't actually seen it yet. I can imagine that him and Frankie are going to kind of be these like tough bros, but Jinbei's going to be like the older, laid back one more, and Frankie's going to be kind of like egging him on a bit more. We don't know that yet, though. I haven't seen him. Everything he's been doing has kind of been fighting, exposition. He's a fantastic character. I love what he does. And if this was purely character rankings, he might be higher. But as a Straw Hat member,
I think that's where the big difference is. I love Jinbei as a character.
Yes.
But we have not gotten the opportunity to see him as a Straw Hat.
He'll go up there.
And it's like his incorporation into the Straw Hats is so weird to me because it's like when you first get that moment in Fishman Island where Luffy says you have to be part of my crew, I lost my mind. Because at that point I love Jinbei and I still love Jinbei a lot. I was like, oh my gosh, like is he actually part of the crew? This is so hype, especially coming from the perspective of the One Piece world building, like seeing how like he's a former warlord,
which is so
huge. Like even in Wano, when you get the reveal, like the official reveal, yes, he's part of the crew, and he's like doing stuff with them, and you see other characters' reactions. Like I think you really see Raw's reactions. Like how the heck is this warlord in this crew, right? And I love that's what like so the initial reveal of he's going to be a Straw Hat. It's like, oh my gosh, but then it doesn't happen. Like it doesn't like and I think part of what makes that. I understand why it didn't happen there because you have to get through Whole Cake Island and then you have to get through Wano. I think we have to get through Whole Cake Island for him to be able to separate his ties from the Fishman, from Big Mom for it to work.
And he does.
But and I think it's great in that. But there's so much time that's spent in Dressrosa and Punk Hazard between going to Fishman Island and getting that confirmation that he's going to be a Straw Hat till when you see him again, that it's like, is he actually part of the crew? Like, it's years at that point, like in the
in real time.
In real time, it's years of going through this stuff, which is really funny when you think about it, because like it's years of going through One Piece and stuff.
A month.
And it's been like at least in New World, like it's been like a couple of months at most.
Oh yeah, somebody tracked it. It's crazy.
Yeah, how much insanity happens in a span of a few days.
Dressrosa was like one day, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Dressrosa was one day.
One night.
Yeah.
Thriller Bark was one night.
Yep. And Dressrosa is one day.
Yeah.
Wano seems like the longest stretch of time where it's like, okay, maybe it's been like a week or so.
They've been there for a little bit because technically it's because they've been on Whole Cake Island. Anyway, we're getting off topic. My point is, Jinbei is 10 for me, unfortunately. I love him. He's going to shoot up later, I bet, as the series continues.
I want to see him. I hope there's enough time in the series left. I know we're nearing the end. I really hope there's enough time in the series left for him to be able to feel like part of the crew.
I think there
will be. You even see it a little bit with his interactions with Robin and Wano.
Robin is nice. Robin was why I almost considered putting him higher. Because I liked how they were talking while in disguise, and they're like, that's our captain.
But I think Jinbei, it's fair to put him there.
Yeah, anyway, you're
number 9. And I wanted to clarify, this is just in terms of liking it in comparison to others, because I love this character so much.
You do it.
It's Brooke.
You're breaking my heart.
You're
breaking my heart.
No, I love him. I don't hate Brooke at all. I don't hate any of these characters. Yeah. I love Brooke so much. I think like the camaraderie, like that, and just like his character is just so much fun. Oh, it's so much fun to just like see him just like be like this older dude that's like going around, and he like this. I love the skeleton puns. Yeah, skeleton puns don't get old. Funny. And seeing how like this goofy skeleton with an afro, with a cane, and like classy sipping tea, whatever, has some of the most tragic backstory that I've ever read in anything ever. With him losing his entire crew and him like basically having a second life and living so much of that second life completely alone, and then seeing that you get. Oh my gosh, because when you, like that connection from way earlier in the story, that he was part of the crew that Laboon left behind, and they didn't leave him behind because they didn't care about him. They left him behind because they died. They didn't make it.
That is crazy.
And seeing that that's the payoff that we're eventually going to get, it's just like, I love Brooke. I love Brooke. And like, I love him. The only reason why he's so down low is sometimes the fan service with him is a little, like, I get...
In terms of the panty jokes?
The panty jokes.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you mean by that. I
don't like that as much. But, like, putting that aside, so, like, that's the one thing holding him down for a little bit for me. But other than that, like, I love him. I love his fighting style. I think his fighting style, like, is very, very cool to see with the ice powers and then just like, I love him. He's great.
Yeah.
Sure. So, but like, don't get me wrong, I love Brooke, but like, he's number 9 for me.
Yeah.
I love other characters more.
I think that's fair. I think I'm like, you're breaking my heart personally, but I understand your reasoning. No one's going to understand me on this one.
Okay.
Not a single person, I don't think. My number 9 is Nami.
What?
I know. And here's my reasoning. Hear me out. Here's my reasoning. Her as a character is fantastic, right? I love her interactions with the crew. You know what I mean? She's a vital part. Yeah. Like, that's why I felt bad putting her here.
She's an anchor.
She is 100% necessary. A great written character. My problem is that she later in the story becomes kind of this, I have to wait for someone else to show up. She stops getting to solve a lot of her own problems. She gets it with Zeus for a hot second. But then she had to like, wait, I know that's not her role to be a combatant. That's not what I'm complaining about. But I'd like to see a little more ingenuity out of her to like take down some stronger opponents. Okay. You know, she gets that.
I get that.
If this was Enies Lobby, by the way, the fact that she steps up to the plate when Sanji falls.
One of the monster trio? Huh? Yeah, one of the monster trio, and she finishes that fight for him.
She does that.
It's for a dumb reason, but she does. Yeah.
But see, like, it played into their characters. I love that. She gets amazing character moments, but they're never backed up with action. You know, they are. She has great moments, but when I mean action, I mean being the one to, like, decide the finishing blow or figure out, you know, a core piece of defeating a villain.
I think a large part of that is because, and this is one of my problems with post New World, is the fact that this crew gets split up so often.
They do.
So I think those feelings they're valid, but they're exacerbated by the fact that you like Nami and half the crew dips halfway through Dressrosa, and then in Dressrosa she isn't able to do a whole lot.
Yeah, I was hoping.
But I think in that, a lot of it is mostly running away, right? Yeah. But I think it's mostly just there because before that she does, and she's contributing. And you even see that again in Wano. Oh, yeah. 100%. We just had that a couple of months ago, that amazing chapter where she literally puts her life swearing as Luffy will be the Pirate King. Oh, I love that. And you see, I think she does it most. I think it's exasperated by she's not in New World as much, and when she is, she wasn't doing as well. Like she was stuck on the ship with in Dressrosa, and then in Whole Cake Island, she's mostly running away because. But I think that's also part of just how crazy the opponents they're going up against are in comparison to her. Yes. And I think it's also a part of the fact that you don't have a lot of support for the crew. Like, I think Nami was more comfortable taking on other members because you had the full crew there, whereas in Whole Cake, Zoro isn't there. Like Frankie isn't there. Like a lot of the heavy hitters aren't there.
Missing from their roster. I totally get that. Again, she's vital. Here's what I would have, and I'm hoping that the fact that she kind of has Zeus and everything now, that elevates her a bit. Because that was one of my favorite moments, was the fact that she figured out that she could use Zeus against Big Mom.
Yeah.
That's what I want from Nami more often. And again, this is not a shot against her. Character rankings so much higher. I just happen to like Straw Hats better, and this was why she got lowered a bit. That said, my one thing that I really do think she should have, and I'm kind of disappointed that Oda hasn't done it yet, but that's fine. Yeah, it doesn't diminish my enjoyment. I think she should have observation haki. She's been put in enough life or death situations, and she's so in tune with the weather and her surroundings that she basically has it.
I really
she
hope
basically has it with weather. I thought it'd be nice to give her that. I get that they need it for Usopp, and that would do weird things with the character dynamic because he's like learning it and all.
Yeah,
but
they're one of the weaker trio that.
But they're so close together that it would be nice if they both developed it and used it together.
Yeah.
That said, that's my ranking.
I think that would really elevate Nami a lot.
It would. Just at the very least, giving her a way that we know she's not going to immediately die when faced with a bigger threat, that she has that like thing. But anyway, that's my thing.
Okay. It's solid. All right. So number 8 is a character we already talked about.
Okay.
It's Jinbei.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's on the lower end for me too because of all the reasons we said before, where he hasn't really gotten a chance to be a Straw Hat yet. Yeah. Barring that in mind, I still love him. He's just like, when he's first introduced, it's like, whoa, like you feel connected to him because he's connected to Ace and you're connected to Luffy. But then you get to know him more as an actual character and seeing what they do with his growth as a fisherman and what his story does for the overall world of One Piece and like his story. Like,
so nice.
Because I think the way Oda actually talks about racism in Fishman Island is one of my favorite parts of the series.
The Red Road.
And oh my gosh, like seeing how Jinbei's character grows from understanding that, like, you know, his the fisherman oppression, and then learning how to love other humans and being that ambassador for actually connecting the two races together, and like we need to work together, and how that's exemplified in Fishman Island, especially in the Fisher Tiger flashback. So good. And I love his fighting style too. I love the whole Fishman karate and him using like water powers, and the fact that he's such a vital asset for the crew, because almost half the crew at this point can't deal with water because of having devil fruit powers. So having that helmsman be someone who like just straight up uses water is like, it's such a nice juxtaposition. I want to see more how they use that. But yeah, that's where Jinbei is for me in number 8.
That's so fair. Another character we've already talked about. The next one for me is Chopper.
Okay.
Same reasons we stated. I like him way better before the time skip. I think he becomes way too much of a cutesy character. His backstory hits so hard, and to kind of take somebody who was giving Luffy and Sanji at the very least a fight, right? He was never going to beat them, but he was at least somewhere there. Somebody who could take on a CP9 member. Yeah. Right? For so much of the story, he becomes this kind of like, he's there, you know.
He's the cutesy character doing whatever.
But then he gets overshadowed by Law too as a doctor, which I do think is an unfortunate standpoint. Yeah. Just by the nature of it. That said, I'd love to see more chemistry between them. Yeah. Going forward. And as he gets up there, he does land the first hit on Queen.
This is true.
That flip.
I remember when that chapter came out, Sanji fans were on life support. Yeah. Because they thought, like, okay, Sanji's going to get this dub. Because there's always that fight between Zoro and Sanji fans. Yes. Like, Sanji's going to get this dub. He's going to take out Queen. It's going to be amazing. And then when you first get that chapter, it was like, oh my gosh, is it Chopper that's actually going to take him out? It's not in the end. But that's such a good moment for Chopper. It was so funny during that moment. It was like, oh my gosh, Sanji fans are on life support. Because Chopper just came in with that dub that no one thought he was going to have. And he also reverses the ice curse too.
He does. It's a good moment for his doctor side. I like when they pair him up against another type of like doctor.
I love it. Reminds me of Thriller Bark, where you got paired up across with the doctor who's resurrecting all the corpses and everything.
I love
this is not what a doctor does. And like, it is very good because you just get that moment of like his true character, him just wanting to help people. Yes. And like, when that's exemplified in his fights, it's so good.
It's so nice. Yeah. And so that's why he's there. That's why he just edged out Nami and Jinbei for me. But okay. Anyway, what's number 7?
My number 7, again, I love these characters. So we're getting a little bit higher we're moving away from the lower point. My number 7 is Frankie. Okay. I love Frankie. Okay. I think part of the reason why I love him so much is, again, going into the story, I didn't know everything about One Piece. I knew through promotional material and stuff that like, oh, there's going to be like a skeleton guy, there's going to be a weird reindeer dude. When I was reading through Water 7, I legitimately had no idea Frankie was going to be a Straw Hat.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
I had no idea because in all the marketing promos and materials, his New World design is so radically different from his post, like his post pre-time skip design. Ow. Yeah. So when I first saw him in the story, he's like, oh, this is a cool character. Like, he's a cyborg. Like, he completely throws off what you think about the world.
Oh, yeah.
He's like,
he's
a cyborg? What? Yeah. Like, I thought we did not have this kind of technology at first. And I love, like, the whole idea, like, he's powered by cola, and he's just, like, running around in, like, the skin suit, and, like, he's, like, got this awesome mohawk, and he's just, like, he's a beast, and, like, he gets introduced as a villain first, and he's like, who is this, this character's crazy, and then you go through his whole story in, Water 7, which is one of my favorite arcs of all time, and, like, you see, like, what he went through, like, and then it's like you fall in love with him with his backstory.
Cuddy Flame is the funniest name.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's so
Cuddy
stupid.
Flame is my favorite name.
But then you go through and like you see how much like he fought to try and be accepted by his family and try to not be a nuisance, and like how he learns to accept himself and forgive himself.
That is
powerful.
It's
so good. And then you get the moment where it's like Luffy says, "Be part of my crew." And at this point, I did not know. He was the only Straw Hat that I had no idea was going to be a Straw Hat.
Crazy.
So I had that rare moment. It was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so excited for him to be a main character. Because he's awesome. He's kind of like that uncle, older bro of like the characters.
He is.
Which is like such a strong look. And then I personally love his New World design. It's ridiculous and
so
stupid.
Funny.
And I love it. I love just like seeing all the crazy robot, like cyborg stuff that he does.
Yeah.
And just like that emotional weight of like him building the Thousand Sunny, and actually being able to help carry the crew over to New World. It's like, it's so good. That's why I love Frankie. So he's my number 7.
Yep. Funny enough, he's also my number 7.
Really?
We matched up with
That's so funny. There we go.
So only things to add, my 3 favorite things about Frankie. 1, the joke between him and Luffy where it's like, this guy's gonna code our ship. He's like Jinbei's brother. It was something like that. Or whatever. And he's like, this guy's coding your brother. Yeah, something like that. And Frankie just rolls with it. He's like,
he's like, I don't get it 100%. But
he understands that something okay is happening.
Yeah.
That, his moments in Water 7, where he's with Robin, and before they're both officially Straw Hats, technically, and they're interacting with one another, and him telling her that she doesn't have to be here, like their little interactions. That was so powerful.
Very good.
Loved that.
Very, very good.
That's great. And then, of course, my all-time number 1 favorite Frankie joke, docking 7.
And they're the brother, like they dock together.
Yes.
I want my payoff. I want the payoff to be Robin actually joining.
Yes, Robin at the
needs to happen before the end of the series.
That's how they beat Rocks.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my gosh.
So funny.
Yeah, he's so good in Thriller Bark too, because like that's the first arc where you get him in. Like
he builds a bridge out of nothing. That's so funny.
Yeah, he just basically Fortnite's it, where he's like, okay, I'm going up, and then also just like the little parts and touches to the crew that to the ship that he does too. Like you actually get to see like him constructing the Thousand Sunny.
Yeah.
Seeing the little merry-go like the scout boat. Like,
yes. Oh,
and
that's
him
so cool.
Paying homage to the merry-go and their ship beforehand. So good.
It's so nice, dude. Watching him do stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, that with Frankie, solid number 7 place. I think if the rest of you guys have him at number 7, it's a good. It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Who's 6 for you?
6 is Usopp.
Really?
I love Usopp. Let me get this out. I love Usopp.
We love these characters. Go for it, though.
I think his growth as just going, like, he's like the most realistic character in this series.
Oh, for
because
sure.
he's a coward. He's an absolute coward, and, like, but you see him, it is so funny, because you see him grow from that, but at the same time utilize it in ways that actually help him out and like keep him alive and actually win fights with it. And it's so good. Sure. And his whole journey in Water 7, when he's questioning his actual like worth to the crew and like fighting, like willing to leave and like willing to have that fight where he leaves the crew. So freaking powerful. Oh my gosh. Going to have this joke coward character have that actual real raw moment of character growth where you feel that you feel that family breaking.
You do.
Is so powerful. And then like
it's amazing.
And then seeing him actually learn from that and go on and like continue going on is so good. And his fighting style, and you see him growing a little bit more too. Like I love his fighting style, like in the New World with all like the different plants and stuff and the botany stuff. Him being a sharpshooter is dope. And then also him learning observation hockey randomly. It's like,
I love
what?
It's
I don't
think it's random. I feel like that was justified.
It's justified. Yeah. But like the fact that he actually learns it is like, oh my gosh, like for real, like dope. So good.
Yeah, there's a moment, by the way, I want to add on to this. And I forget what I think. I want to say Gold, the Gold movie, whichever one that one was, where the monster trio. I haven't seen the movie. I've just seen the clip from it. The monster trio get like.
Oh, I know this clip. I know this clip.
They all turn, and then a split second later, Usopp turns.
Yes,
he's not as good.
But he's getting there.
I love that. That was
so good. I love the growth. How he's like right outside their tier. He's not there. He won't be there. But he's just like, he's almost there. And it's like, I love that growth from him. And like his interactions with the rest of the crew are so good. Like,
100%.
I love Usopp.
My number 6 is another one that if we had one subscriber, we're going to lose them here. And I mean, like, again, I feel like people are going to think that I made this list to be like controversial. Okay. It's not. Let me explain. Okay. Let me explain. Everybody calm down.
Okay. We don't even know who it is yet. I feel like it's going to.
Ooh. My number 6 is Zoro.
That low.
I know that's the thing. When I first made this list, I was like, I can't believe he's that low. So I tried to make myself come up with reasons to get him higher. Yeah. Here's my only thing with it. Okay. Not my own, like, I love Zoro again as a character. The reason he's this low for me is that I think his backstory as it is right now is on the weaker side.
Garbage. It's garbage. It's garbage.
That's all right.
He fell down the stairs and died.
D stairs. Fell down D stairs. I love that though. Dude, like, listen, he doesn't have the best backstory, right? I like him. If this again was pre-time skip, I would like him a lot more. He's so much happier. I get it's a darker tone after leaving, but he's happier. He gets to joke around more. His moments where he's like, "This is our captain," and he hits Luffy on the head with his sword. Yeah.
Or like when the moment where, oh my gosh, on the one island with the dinosaurs, where like they're stuck in the candle wax, and he's just like, if I'm gonna die, I'm just gonna hold this. Like,
dude, there is a statue of Zoro.
Yes,
and they don't do it. Yeah, they don't put him in that stance. He told you what he wanted, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway. He would be higher genuinely. What brings it down is I feel like he loses a lot of personality going into the new world. Yeah. I think he is there and his action set pieces, his fights, fantastic.
They're some of the best in the series. They're always almost like top tier. Like,
amazing. I love him. I loved his fight with Killer. It's just that in terms of character, he stops getting character moments with the rest of the crew. He gets split up for a long time. He doesn't get to go to... I think it's a missed opportunity. I get why he did it. Him being the one to have brought Sanji back from Whole Cake, I think would have been phenomenal. I get they're probably saving it up for a bigger moment where they drop the act and they you know what I mean?
Help each other out. Yeah.
I think they're going to wait for a bigger one. That said, you know, because that happened and because he's not there for that section of the story, he doesn't get all of that build up.
It's tough because like he can't be there because the actual stakes and like how that arc goes through diminish if you have if you have one of the monster trio, you have like one of the most powerful members of the crew there. Yeah,
if all three
so much of Whole Cake works because you don't have everyone there.
And I agree. I think it was a smart decision. If you're not going to... If, like, Wano was, like, the second to last arc, I would have said do it then and there. Have the Zoro Sanji, like, come through. That's it.
They have the building blocks for it.
They do. There's so much more to One Piece. I know we're in, like, the later half. There's time. Yeah. He's probably going to shoot up, but everything he's had so far, until, like, some little things in Wano, when they're on, the fighting floor, right? Yeah. And he, like, throws it to Chopper, and he flashes a smile at Chopper. He's like, I knew you got it. I think he says, like, good man or something like that. Yeah. That respect, I love. I want to like Zoro more. But they're not giving him the character moments he deserves. So if Nami's not getting the action pieces and the payoff she deserves, Zoro's not getting all the character moments that she has. And it makes this weird dichotomy. But I love him.
To keep talking about Zoro, because he's my number 5.
He is? Wow, okay. Go for it.
I think he is strong, like, how do I want to say this? He's lacking in the emotional department. I love him as a character. Like, when he shows up and he's ready to scrap for fights, it's amazing. Oh, yeah. It's so good, especially in, like, New World. And he has lost a little bit of that character that he had from, like, pre-time skip. It's, like, not, like, he I think he like not so much that he was more jokey, because he does get way more serious.
Oh, he gets
after
serious.
he gets bodied by Mihawk.
He does.
But I think he still finds ways to play off of his seriousness.
He does.
Really funnily, like with how he constantly gets lost, but still doesn't want to feel like
that's so funny.
It's so
dude.
good.
That's still a great running joke.
Yeah. Like when he constantly wants to get lost. His interactions with Sanji and everything. And like you actually legitimately see him, like, you know, there are moments where he do get that growth. I think you get his best emotional moments when he shows why he's first mate with his undying like belief in
loyalty.
Luffy. And, like, especially like I'm thinking like in both moments, big and small, like when in the Davy back fight where Chopper is like crying over him not being able to join the crew, and like he tells him, no, shut up, like we believe that your captain has this.
Is going to pull through.
Moments like that are awesome in small moments, but like in terms of raw emotional growth of me wanting to see him accomplish his goal of becoming the number one swordsman, it's not as there as it is for other characters in their goals. So,
and I think if Mihawk didn't, I get why he became his like mentor and stuff. I understand that. Mm-hmm. I think if Mihawk wasn't hyped up as the greatest swordsman and just one of, if he still maybe had Shanks to fight or someone or something still kind of standing his way ahead of Mihawk, it might be a bit more compelling. But as it stands right now, it's not, you know, it's not there where I feel a constant pressure, like, you know, with Luffy becoming Pirate King, where there's a mountain of obstacles in his way, he's trudging uphill. It really feels like to me, all right, but he just has to beat Mihawk. Like, we're really just waiting for you to beat Mihawk. That's it. And you can't bring up Zoro without bringing up the fact that nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
And that alone, if you really want to argue it, could jump him all the way up.
It's so good. But it's big moments like that are like,
it's so hard to rank.
He like has good emotional moments. Not saying he does. He does. It's just like they're in relation to his belief in the crew, and not himself as like. And you know, does that make sense?
No, they do, and they're also pre-time skip.
Yeah.
Post time skip, he does not have as much. So that said is that.
We're getting into the top 5. We're getting into like the upper half.
This is my top. So that he's starting off here, which is a strong start. I didn't really have to open my phone again. I actually did know who my next one was.
Don't worry about it.
It is Usopp.
Okay. All right.
God D. Usopp. I love him. His character development, everything we've kind of stated. I was just going to reiterate. My big selling point though was that, you know, Usopp goes from a character who leaves the crew due to his like personal beliefs and all of that stuff, apologizing, to growing, to being kind of like the MVP of Dressrosa, right? That whole thing. Yeah. And yet, despite the fact that he's grown so much, he doesn't outpace his original character.
No.
It doesn't feel like they threw it to the side and now he's like the cool badass.
It still feels like Usopp.
He is a coward who is a better fighter now.
Yeah.
And he's more competent. He's more, like confident in his abilities. I loved his line on Fisherman Island where he's like, I would have told a whopper right here and tried to run away. He's like, it's kind of boring to be telling the truth. And then he goes, I have you in 4 shots. And 4 shots happen and he gets them. And he kind of just like goes like, well.
And then he has moments like you see that progressive growth even throughout like the whole story where it's like, he's a sharpshooter, you know he's a good sharpshooter. And then like you see he does moments where like he burns the world flag. Where like he calculates the wind and everything and like somehow manages to pull it off, and it's like he has those moments of greatness where it's like, whoa, like he pulls through. But then he's always still a coward. Like but he learns to use that to his advantage. Yeah. Like I love that one fight in Thriller Bark against my gosh, I'm forgetting her name, Perona, where he wins because like he's so like her whole power is that I make people depressed so that they can't fight anymore, and then he wins because you can't make me more depressed because I'm already so depressed that I can't go even further. I'm a cat and I don't believe myself at all, and it's like he wins the fight because of that, and it's so funny.
Oh yeah. One of if we were ranked, we should do a top 10 jokes in One Piece.
Yeah. Ooh.
Probably number 2 for me might actually be the Gambate. Like when Perona tells Usopp, you can do it, and she starts rooting for him. She's like, wait a minute. He was so depressed that she made her start rooting for him. Anyway, he's my number 5.
So good.
Who do you got in 4? Who's breaking?
4? Yeah. Number 4 is Robin.
Well, okay, fair.
Yeah,
fair. That's fair.
Love Robin so much. When she first joined the crew, I felt that weird, like, is she really a part of this crew? Like,
it is her introduction.
She doesn't feel, but that's the point. That's the point. She's not supposed to feel like an actual main character yet because she's not yet. She hasn't committed, and when you find out that reason why, I think her flashback is the saddest out of all the Straw Hats, and it's so emotionally poignant, and she's so integrally tied to so many of the huge mysteries that we have left yet to uncover, and none of it can happen until then. Yeah. Like, she is so, like, I loved seeing her grow from, like, not caring about her crew really at all, and just seeing them as a tool to get to where she wants to go, to actually loving them like family. Seeing that growth where she doesn't call anyone by their actual names, and then after Eni's lobby where she like has that moment where like, I want to live, like I don't want to die, I want to actually live and like see life. And that my life is worth living despite everything that I've been told and everything all like the hate that people put on me and like, you know, what she went through. Seeing her go through that and actually find family in the Straw Hats and like call them by their actual names after everything that Eni's lobbies. It's such a small thing, but it's so good. Yeah. Her powers are cool. I think she doesn't get enough fights. But we're getting that Pix and Wano.
We're getting there.
We're getting Pix and Wano where like she actually has like fights and like she does stuff. But I think part of the problem is that her power is so freaking cool that she can easily body a whole ton of people.
If so that's why she kept putting hockey, it's over.
And a wrap. She's broken. But that's part of it. Like, and so I understand why she's not in as many fights. She's mostly there for crowd control, but she does have some moments in New World and stuff, especially now in Wano. But I love Robin. I love her design, especially in New World. Like she's, and then she gets some of the funniest moments too because of how deadpan she is. Like with like the armor thing, and she's like, "No, I'm not doing it at all." And then like how she loves like unconditionally loves how cute Chopper is, but they won't actually show it. Like she loves how cute. Like oh my gosh, the one moment with the dragon. Ryo, where she's like the saddest out of all of them, but she doesn't want to show it. She's like tearing the down. It's like it's so good. I love Robin.
Flower. Yeah. When she just does her little like she tells him to keep fighting.
Oh my god.
But she has terrifying like thoughts or whatever. He could be dead.
Yeah, right. And she doesn't say it. It's so good. Yeah.
So I think she's a great pick. I'm so glad she broke your top 5 because I was gonna have problems if she didn't.
Okay.
That said, for my next one, I go back and forth a lot between these two, but it is Brook for me.
Okay.
Brook is at 4. I love Brook. I love his backstory. I love his character. He's so much fun, but he can get so serious. The fact that it's a payoff of Luffy all the way back then saying, all right, I have a swordsman, musician. I was going to say magician.
Yeah.
Musician. We need a musician. And everyone's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He gets onto the thing. It's that whimsical, like, join my crew. And when they come back to the Sunny with Brook, and the rest of the crew look at Sanji and Nami, and they're like, we sent you for a reason. And they're like, we failed.
It's so good.
We failed. Right? I'm so sorry. It's so funny. I love his abilities. I love anytime he gets serious versus Big Mom when he steals the poneglyph.
Gosh,
when he's straight up,
he comes in so clutch in places where you would not expect it for how much of a jokey character he is. Like he comes in clutch, in the best of ways.
Yeah, dude. Quartet to trio to duet to solo is easily one of the saddest moments. They play it. Great. It is phenomenal, and I like the fact that Brook. Like, this is a weird thing in ranking Straw Hats, right? Brook doesn't need that much screen time anymore to have those connections because of how outlandish he is.
Yeah.
So because he's always, like, his emotions are always at, like, 11, no matter who he's interacting with at any given moment.
You always feel for him.
And you always get this flurry of emotion where you don't get it with other characters. So that's where he is for me.
He stays very lovable throughout the whole way.
Flip.
He stays very lovable. One of my favorite jokes is like when they first meet him for the first time, and the first thing Luffy asks him is like, "Do you poop?"
Yeah,
and he just like takes a sip. In the dub, it's so funny the delivery of it. I've seen the clip where he's just like, "Oh yes, I poop," and it's so good.
Play it straight, which
he's
is like
so good,
elegant-y. So yeah, he's great. Oh, one last thing to mention before we stop talking about Brook. I loved how he pulls a fast one on the art girl from Dressrosa.
Yes, yeah.
He's like, let me play a song. And then he goes, it's done. What do you mean? You haven't started playing? No, you're cut.
Yeah, and then he shoots it, and it's so good. Yeah.
Anyway, love him. He's great. Who do you have now? It's top 3, right?
Top 3 now.
Top 3.
Top
Who's
3
your top 3?
All right. Number 3, Sanji.
Respectable.
Yeah,
Respectable.
I love Sanji so much, and like I flip flop because I'm probably going to get a lot of hate from the Zoro fans because I put Zoro below Sanji.
Yeah,
they're not that far apart.
Too.
There's one space. Like I love both of them equally. I'm not part of like the whole Zoro Sanji discourse. But
I am.
You gotta have someone that like stirs the pot.
Fight me in the comments.
I think what wins Sanji out over Zoro in this list for me personally, and I love them both. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but what wins him out on this list personally is that he does have that emotional side that Zoro is kind of lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
Way more than he does. Even without Whole Cake Island, he does, right? Yeah. And I love his fighting. I think his fighting style is so freaking cool and unique because he's a chef. He doesn't want to damage his hands, so he only puts them in his pockets and he only kicks. And it's like such a cool style. Yeah. I love all of like the cooking terms and everything that like he uses, and just like as a chef, it's like so cool. Like because you see him like build out the world even more through that aspect of his character as well. And I think it's weird because like when it comes to other fan service characters, I'm like, bleh. But I think with Sanji, I think it's I generally find it funny, and like because he does it from a place where he's like he legitimately loves women, like
he does,
like and sometimes I know like people clown on him, respectively so, for losing fights that he should have just because like he won't lay a hand on a woman.
Yes.
But I still love Sanji like regardless because of that, because I think I love Sanji. Yeah.
So I'm gonna refrain from commenting because I'm a huge Sanji fan. Okay. So I'll bring that up when I think it's more relevant. Mm-hmm. I agree with what you're saying. There are valid points against him though. Yes. I understand why you might not like him, but I think you can also see why people do love him so much and why there's that, because like they set it up with Zoro and Sanji's rivalry. And so the fans are naturally going to like mimic that. I think sometimes they forget that Zoro and Sanji do still love each other.
Yeah, they do.
They're always friends. It's such a it's a lighthearted rivalry. So remember that. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's it.
One more thing I do want to add is that I love how suave he is. I think his and it's weird too. Like I think the only people that are allowed don't smoke, but the way he smokes, like the way the aesthetic works with it, like it's so freaking cool. Yes. Like, and then he leads to some like fire moments, like in Skypiea, where he gets electrocuted and he's still standing. He's like, "Thanks, I needed a light."
I needed a light.
So good. Oh my gosh.
That is. I wish that got as much love as the Nothing Happened, because those are two in my equal moments in One Piece. It's so good. Another one, just the other.
I love his suaveness. It's like his style. I think he has a sense of style that none of the other Straw Hats have. His drip is. Love.
If this was a drip list, he's
he's top tier. He's top tier. But
anyway, to continue moving on, number 3. Right, again, they flip flop. 2, 3, and 4 flip flop for me. Like they run circles. Yeah. Okay. So any other given day, this could have been a little different. For me, it's Robin.
Number 3
is Robin. I love her. I want to live, from the backstory to her reasoning behind it. She's so fleshed out and she continues to develop. She's getting more fights. One of the things I loved was the "thank you for relying on me, Sanji" that she got in this one of the later chapters.
Oh my god.
Because you can see, not only because it's a cool moment between them and she gets to fight. My favorite thing is a nice little reading of it, this interpretation that you can have, where she wants to be useful to the crew. She wants to have her family rely on her. And it goes from that person who would disappear to the person who's showing up to save her. It's a nice dichotomy. It's a flip. You know what I mean?
So good.
And so I loved that. And the way that she, doesn't even make fun of Sanji for not hitting women or anything. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. So that is her. We said so much on her already. Yeah. I love her so much. That's Robin. She could have been easily number 2 at any given point, or 3 if I was feeling Brookmore that day. But
so
number 2.
My number 2 is. Okay, so I guess number 2 reveals who number 1 is, right?
It does. I think people kind of knew.
Yeah.
But
I didn't want to be basic.
Yes.
And have Luffy as my number 1.
Okay.
So Luffy is my number 2.
Wow, I didn't expect that. I'm gonna be real. I did not expect.
I didn't want to be the basic one. That's like, because everyone has Luffy as number one.
As number one.
Everyone. I think. Yeah, everyone wants to have Luffy as their number 1, and I love Luffy. But he's number 2 for me because I wanted to think about like, okay, I know he's like the core key member of everything that surrounds the story.
Yeah.
And I love him for that, but I just like I wanted to have like I wanted to have a different opinion. I wanted to stir the pot a little bit. So yeah, Luffy is my number 1. I think it's such an interesting way me looking at this character now, like compared to when I was first reading One Piece and like I was not liking him, where I came to realize that his rudeness wasn't actually rudeness, but just like straight taking it a little bit too literally, lays it on like too like literal, But I love his growth so much. He's such a good main character. The way his energy and enthusiasm is just infectious. It takes people like Robin, like Zoro, who did not see anything in him to begin with, and making and like him just getting them to believe that he can actually like become the Pirate King and do this, and seeing his growth. And what I love is that he doesn't always win.
No,
very few series actually do that, where you have your main character take serious L's.
Yes, he does not come out on top.
No, not at all. And you feel how small at various points in the story he is in this world, but he still has that spirit, right?
Yeah.
Not even almost always, because you see when that spirit breaks too. It does. Like at certain points in the story. But like seeing his growth and seeing him actually go through and like build himself up and like get so many people to just infectiously follow him and like believe in his dream. Not just in his dream, but he gives other people the strength to believe in their own dreams and still keep going for that. So good. He's top tier MC. Top tier.
100%. The fact that we don't get his backstory off the start too. And we find out a bit later.
Oh my god.
And show too. I think it was so great at humanizing him because he wasn't this instantly monstrously strong person that he had to work to just get his basic gum pistol down. You know what I mean? The fact that he used to be a crybaby, the fact that he got beat up left and right on that island. I think it does wonders for his character. And we'll get into it more, but just because you already said it, so I want to capitalize on it. There's a billion series out there where they say, the MC, right? His real power is getting others to believe in him, right? And I'm going to be real with you. This is not a shot. This is just my personal opinion, right? No other MC that I've seen, aside from a handful, right? But in those cases, they don't usually state that that's his main like effect on people. They just let it happen. This is the only one where they say it and it extends to the audience. Yes. Even as Joe said, you straight up said, I didn't feel him at first and he won me over.
Yeah.
At first, if I had to rank him as like an MC, I would put him like low towards you. I was like, he doesn't, he doesn't really have that much character, that much depth. Nowadays, he's top dog. Like the way he wins you over with, I want to go on an adventure. I want to stand up for what's right. I don't want to be a superhero, but I'm not going to let you push other people around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That shit is so cool.
So good.
Love him. It is a bit different though than mine.
Your number 2?
My number 2 is Sanji. I'm a huge Sanji fan.
The Zoro fanboys hate us now.
I know. Listen, hear me out. Sanji has the fight and the characters. Combining what Nami and Zoro have separately, right? Nami has some of the best character moments, but doesn't get the action to back it up. Zoro has some of the best fights, but doesn't have the character to back it up sometimes. Sanji combines them.
He has both.
The principles, the emotions, the backstory, the reasoning, the fact that, and it's unfair, Sanji has 2 backstories.
He does.
He has 2 backstories.
Meanwhile, Zoro still hasn't got a proper one at all.
Zoro has fell down D-State. I hate the theories, by the way, that it's, Kuno is her name, right? Kuina?
Oh, the
girl. The girl that fell down the stairs.
Oh, yeah.
For Zoro, that like she's still alive and she's coming back. Gosh. I was like, I wouldn't care if she did. It's so removed from me. But anyway. Yeah. The reason Sanji is my favorite, as we've stated before, he's a great character. He has moments where he denies himself power-ups on principle. No other character I feel like I've really gotten to know where their principles hinder them so much. Like, switching genre a bit, I don't know if you ever watched like Game of Thrones. There are characters in there when you're like, dude, that's so stupid that you're letting your principles affect you to that level. You know, you get annoyed with it. Sanji doesn't do that for me. Sanji's principle makes him better, and the way that he fights through a world that works against him, women that are as powerful as him, that could absolutely kick his ass, he's not going to touch them, right? No matter what. You know, fighting with his hands, he could be so much stronger than he is.
You see a little bit of that in Water 7 when he's on the train and he's fighting the noodle guy. And to beat him, he gets the knives actually out. He doesn't cut the guy. Yeah. He just uses it to cut his noodles, which makes sense because, you know, he's a chef and everything.
Yeah, he's a chef.
But, like, you know he would be so much more of a powerful fighter if he uses his hands. But he doesn't, because like of his principles of like, if I lose my hands, I lose my value to this crew as a chef.
Yes.
And loses not only on that, but his dream too of being able to actually go and see all blue.
Yep.
And be able to make to cook everything. Yeah. So it's so good. Yeah. Sanji's great. And just him on Whole Cake Island is amazing.
It is.
His growth is so good.
It is. Yeah. I do think I get it. I was a little bothered that he beat Luffy up to that extent. I wish he had held back a little bit more, but I get why it made for a much more dramatic scene. I understand it as a writer, you know what I mean? Like, I understand it from that perspective. As a fan, I was like, come on, Sanji.
I think it's more powerful that Luffy, like, despite how hard he was going on, like,
yes, I do think it is. Again, as like a writer, fully 100% support behind it. As a fan, I'm like, Sanji, please. You know, so again, love him to death. That reveals who mine is, but let's go over yours. It's more interesting.
So my number 1 is Nami.
So I must have heurt you.
You definitely did. Polar opposite. I love Nami so much because her growth and like she's the anchor to the entire crew.
She is. I'm not denying.
Outside of Luffy, she is like the anchor number 1 because she keeps everyone in check. Like, I just love how much of a girl boss she is.
She is.
She's a total girl boss, and, like, she has, like, those moments of actual character growth and depth. Like, 'cause she's the first one to turn on the crew.
She is.
She's the first one to turn on the crew and be like, no, I don't want to follow this. And then, and, like, you know, because of her own personal reasons. And seeing her go from someone who just, like, is completely untrustworthy to just her begging for help, and it's like she gets that growth is so good. I love, she doesn't get them a lot, but her fights are amazing. I especially love like she gets more interesting to watch in her fights as the series goes on. As she starts, you know, getting more of the weather powers and using the climate attack and stuff like that. And no, I just love she's never not funny to me. She's never not a joy to see on screen for me personally. Whether she's like going crazy, like obsessing over money and being greedy and being super sly about it.
Yeah, I do.
Or just like being like that emotional support for the crew. And like, you know, I love Nami so much. So she's my number 1.
That is so fair.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I put her so high.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
But, you know, and it speaks to how well written this story is that you can have such like varied opinions. And yet, when it comes down to it, though, the 8 spots is not that far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really like, and again, as I was saying, these characters can switch in and out so fast because they're all so lovable, and it really almost is who you're feeling some days. You know what I mean?
It totally is. And going back to Nami a little bit more, just because I want to talk to her all that. I just love her growth. Like, I love her growth of just like the tattoo and taking something that meant oppression and like changing it and making it something that stands for where she grew from and where her roots were. So freaking good. Like, I think her emotional weight like carries on throughout the entire story. There's never a moment where she's not there and she's not having something that's like super emotional that's impacting the crew. Whether it be her like breaking down over seeing her family break up again in Whole Cake Island and slapping Sanji for everything that he was doing, or whether she puts her life on the line in Wano to stand by her belief of Luffy becoming the Pirate King. It's like, every emotional moment she has hits so hard, and seeing her grow from that is just like, oh my gosh, I love it. And like, again, she's a girl boss. She doesn't take anything from anything, but at the same time, she's a girl boss that also knows her place, where it's like, I can't do this sometimes.
Oh, I'm not gonna go fight Kaido.
Like,
no, Luffy will. She's gonna beat him.
She even stands up against Kaido in like the last chapter, in like the chapter we're gonna talk about.
She does. Technically, she does. You're right. So no, she is willing to throw hands with Kaido over her crew. So, you know, and again, these characters are fantastic. I feel like if you're bringing up Nami, you really do have to talk about the fact that Oda didn't do her trauma and move on. I know you were saying that bit.
Yeah.
But focus on at Fishman Island.
Yes.
The fact
she my gosh.
She becomes a core component.
When she is the one to straight up forgive the fishmen, like despite everything she had gone through from them oppressing her in her home village, and she has that strength to be like, you guys hurt me, but I understand where you guys are coming from, and I'm willing to work this process, even though I have more than a reason to never forgive you guys and to not you guys. So good. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Hachi was there, one of her oppressors. It's not like I'm not dealing with the other crew. I'm not dealing with Arlong anymore. She was has straight to look her in the eye and they had to
I'm sorry. And like how that, and then she does, and she gives that forgiveness. And like oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, I love Nami.
Oh yeah, no, she is.
I'm remembering like that's another thing about One Piece. It's such a big series that you forget what some of the strongest moments are, and like some of like it's so good.
Oh, dude, and you know what? We're just move straight into it. My number one, the future Pirate King, Monkey D. Luffy.
Completely fair.
I'm a basic bit. That's fine. That's fine. I'm taking it in stride.
Own it.
That said, one of my favorite scenes from Luffy, I don't think gets talked. I've seen it shared on the internet every now and again. When he's waiting for Sanji and he says, "I'm gonna wait right here," and he's with Nami, and they talk about it, and the fact that he tells her, he's like, "Nami, go hide," and she's like, "What?" He's like, "No, Nami, go hide," and he stands up shakily, and the army comes out. And he just like cracks his knuckles. Nami's pleading with him, you know what I mean, to leave. And he's like, I said I'd be waiting in this spot. He's like, I'm gonna be waiting in this spot.
And then he goes back. Sanji finally shows up. He gives him like slop because the meal that he was making like got fell into the rain and the dirt and everything.
Moving around.
And Luffy just does not care. And he's
Luffy
just like
eats it. Yeah, he says it's delicious. That
my gosh, Luffy is so good. And just the way he connects with every single he is the main character, and he connects with every single member of the crew.
He does
every single one of the crew. Like he has a distinct connection that's different from everyone else, and it's like
he's a flat character because he like in terms of he doesn't really change. He changes those around him. I believe I'm using this.
I
think it's I can't remember if it's flat or static.
Not static, but
it's
like
not. The fact
he's like I know what you're talking about. Like, he's a there's a
word. I can't remember. We'll put it on the screen. We'll think of it, and it'll be like right here or something. Hopefully we're putting like the comments or this. But we'll put it somewhere, guys.
He's more of not an adaptive or reactionary. It's like
he's not a reactionary. While he reacts, he is a driving force in his plot.
That's what I love about Luffy. Yes. The plot doesn't happen to Luffy. Luffy happens to the plot. Like this world exists and it's doing its own thing. It's going to go its own way. And Luffy is the one that always steps in. It's like, no, here's what's going to happen now. And the plot moves because of what he's doing. It's always his action. It's always his drive. And that's what I love about him as a main character too.
Oh, it's great. And he always has skin in the game. There's never a villain where it's like, he's just kind of fighting him right now. He has to stop him, I guess. There is a set reason, you know what I mean? Somebody helped him out. He's freeing a village. No, now it's bigger than that. It's escalated. He personally was wronged now. No, now it's gone above that. This person wants the One Piece now. And Luffy's not about that. Like it goes even further.
His eyes are always on the prize, but it doesn't. But he recognizes the actual implications of how like what the situation around him involves, even if he has nothing to do with it with Wano. Like. He still goes in and recognizes like what you're doing is messed up. I'm not going for it. Like, it's
it's phenomenal. And it's not to put too fine a point on it, but I think really what sets him apart and how I really want to end this little section off is talking about the fact that the reason he's jumped to kind of like my favorite MC in general, just across fiction, no other MC that I've seen, I'm sure they're out there, is offered the straight up prize, right? Luffy has no reason to deny it, right? He could straight up, there's no moral obligation to not do it. There's no like, taking this will make you evil or something, you know what I mean? Like there's no power dynamic.
He totally could have been told what the One Piece was right then and there.
Century.
He could have been told everything.
He could have got...
Rayleigh was not going to say no.
And he had 2 years with the man too to ask again. And he straight up says, I'll stop searching for it. If you tell me, I don't even want to know if it exists or not.
Yeah.
If you mess with my adventure, I'll quit right here and now. And the fact that that doesn't come off as an annoying, stupid, are you kidding me moment, and comes off as a,
yeah.
I don't want to know either.
Because
let me find out with you.
Because you, as you go through the series, like you learn to love just like that drive for adventure and wanting the journey that he has. And it kind of beautifully represents One Piece as a whole too, where it's not about the destination. It's not about getting to the end and figuring out One Piece of what is and him becoming a Pirate King. It's about the journey along the way to do it. It's all about that. So, and Luffy just perfectly encapsulates.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, the real One Piece was the friends we made along.
I mean, we know that's not going to be it, right? We know what it's so funny. But
I can only imagine how smug Luffy would be about it. He's like, it is my crew, and how pissed off everyone else in the crew. Yeah.
I know. I think they wouldn't be pissed off. I don't think they would be.
Nami would be pissed off.
Nami would be
pissed off. I don't think it's going to be a treasure type deal. So I think she's going to be pissed off anyway when she gets there, and it's not this giant gold coin that she's looking forward to. But I think though that, joking aside, no matter what it would be, they'd be thrilled just to have Luffy's the Pirate King finally. And that's our Straw Hat rankings. Yeah. Let us know what yours are, how we made.
Let us know how much you hate our opinions. Let us know. Yeah. I'm so sorry, Zoro fans.
Yeah, no, we all love
so sorry.
Well, you know what? Maybe we'll make it up to them. Maybe that'll be our first bounty hunt.
Yeah, maybe. So let's go into our final topic for the thing. Each episode we want to talk about the latest chapter that came out, and when we were planning this idea for the podcast, it was like, we can do talk about the latest chapter. I think if you could. Yeah. I don't think any of us expected for the chapter 1043 to be one of the most important chapters in the entire series, which is a perfect time to start. Like literally I couldn't have dreamed to have a more important chapter. Like this is like a series defining top 5 chapter of all time that radically changes everything that we knew about the series beforehand. And I had no idea we would have like that.
It is wild, dude.
Crazy.
I agree.
So what I love most about it is we're so knee deep in Wano. And like the Wano fatigue was starting to hit a little bit. And I was just thinking in the back of my head, how is this going to end? Because if this ends with just Luffy punching Kaido and winning
really hard,
it would really, if he just punches him hard and win, like how he does most of the time in other places, like it's fine, like, and it works so well. But I think in this one, because we're so close to the end, I feel like it needs to be something bigger than that.
Yes.
Could have never dreamed, not like this. Yeah. Like, I didn't think it would happen here and like this. Yeah. With the reveal of Luffy being Joy Boy.
In like a sense. Yeah.
And I love for the majority of the chapter, and you all know Luffy actually isn't dead, right?
Yes.
You know it. But then they keep going with it. It's like, I know it's not true, but like it feels real, like in terms of how the characters actually react. It feels real that he lost.
Yes.
And it's like, maybe he actually, and then when you get the reveal of Joy, Joy Boy has returned, it's like,
yes,
Luffy actually did lose. Like, what if he's like the reincarnation of Joy, like he is the reincarnation of Joy Boy, whatever that means.
Yeah, in a sense,
but like, what if Luffy actually did die there? And like, there's so much to go into. Like, there is. So, what are you thinking? Like, with this huge reveal?
Yeah,
like,
I think it was done beautifully. I think it gave Kaido. He's gotten personality throughout his fight, for sure. He's not like a one-dimensional character or villain or anything. I liked him already. The fact that they relate this back to him not being able to finish his fight with Odin.
Yes.
Right? The fact that he is the strongest beast alive, but he himself, I think somewhere deep down knows that that's a lie. He's robbed again to truly find out if he is the strongest
or not.
And straight up looks at the CP0 member and he goes like, so you know what comes next, right? And he just kind of like lowers his head. Kaido takes him out. The other CP0 member kind of like tips his hat.
Yeah, he's just like, he understands like, he's like, I tried. But
that's how that goes. I love that. I think that was phenomenal. We get to talk about the fact that, as you were saying, every single really character that's conscious or doesn't get to do it, he's like unconscious. And I don't think Sanji gets to do it. I think he's passed out somewhere or something.
I don't know where Sanji
is, to be honest.
Yeah, I got
the fact that I'm just bringing up is that he's not really commenting. Law, Kid, Nami, Momo,
Chopper,
they get to have a moment, right, where we get to see what it's like when Luffy loses and how his crew and his friends and his companions react in this, like, oh God, no. You know what I mean? Like,
and I was thinking, like, I did not want Wano to end stereotypically, like the normal One Piece arc ending where he just beats him and that's it. And I was legitimately believing, like, what if the raid does fail, right? Like, I think that could be an interesting way to take it. And you got a little bit of that in that whole moment where it's like, oh, like, I started to believe it a little, like, I was believing a little bit, like, is this where they're going to go? Is the raid actually going to fail on Wano and Kaido wins and like Robin gets captured and like
I
thought like that was where it was going to go. I was like, okay, like I'm down with this. This is different. This is cool. And then you just get the moment where it's like, guess who's like he's Joy Boy. I'm just like, what do you mean? What?
Zunesha saying it too.
Yeah.
That
like,
I can hear it.
The drums of liberation from Skypiea. Oh my gosh.
There's
like
so many. It's so
when that gets animated and you actually hear the drums in the music.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
Good.
But so what do you think this means? That he's like, what does it mean that he's actually Joy Boy? Do you think it has to deal with his devil fruit? Do you think it has to deal with... Because I'm in the camp that I believe it's something with the devil fruit.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Because when they first bring up that moment of you learning how Luffy's fruit was stolen by Ace's crew from a world government ship.
Yes.
And that you get the moment that it's Luffy's, that it's his name changed, right?
Yes.
Or at least like they changed the name of the devil fruit.
Yeah.
And like they don't say which fruit, but it's assumed that it's Luffy's.
Implied,
when we first read that, I remember you saying like you were hoping that wasn't it.
I was kind of hoping
because we thought we knew everything about the fruit.
Yes.
Now we clearly don't because there was I think it was a couple chapters ago during the fight with Kaido and Luffy where Kaido specifically says something along the lines of, this is not what you're doing right now is not how rubber works
at all.
And that I think that line is a huge hint that we don't know what Luffy's actually power is. And on top of the fact too, like there was small hints of it all along the whole time. Like, why is he able to catch fire? Why is he able to, like, you know...
They do that with Sanji, too. They give a brief explanation, too.
But they never give that explanation to Luffy for why he was able to catch fire.
They do not.
So there was always hints of, like, what if it's not actually rubber? So that's where I'm thinking. It's like, what if it's... I don't think it's actually rubber. So, and then somehow Joy Boy is somehow linked to that. So... One huge big brain theory I have, and I got this from just going through other people's thoughts and stuff, is that what I think the actual power is resin.
Yes, I know you were telling me about that.
Is resin. Because resin is malleable, it can catch fire, it can harden.
Yep.
So, and then not just that, just think about the implications of why, because now we have to think, if this power isn't rubber, why would the world government want to hide it so badly and so much so to like change the name of it so that people don't realize what it actually is? Because when you also think about it, we never got that little bubble of like, you know, when a power is introduced of detailing what a devil fruit power does. We never get that with the gum fruit.
We never get that.
Never.
You're right.
So my thing is that, and then the one crazy big brain theory that I have right now that I've also gotten, like, you know, just like from other people hearing their thoughts. Is that I believe Luffy's devil fruit is probably insanely linked to devil fruits as a whole and why they are part of the world. Maybe it's the first devil fruit. Maybe it's like and like if it's part of like a resin, like resin comes from where trees, right?
Yes. So
what if it has a huge link to like maybe like Adam and Eve, like the first devil fruit trees and like something along the lines of that. And then there's also the whole thing about him being Joy Boy. Maybe it's like a reincarnation between the people that different people have the fruit. Maybe the world government having the fruit for so long kind of explains why Joy Boy hasn't been around because no one has been able to take it. But then the Joy Boy thing is a whole huge other ordeal because it's like, it seems like Luffy actually died. and then he's being reincarnated as like Joy Boy is coming back out.
Yes.
Which like what does that mean? Like I think that there's something there that's crazy that like we're going to get an answer for in this next chapter, hopefully. But yeah, what do you think? Like
I'm totally on board with your theory. I think that'd be a great direction to take it.
Mm-hmm.
The resin thing, I'm kind of fully behind now. I told you beforehand that I wasn't a fan. I do like that it is a goofy protagonist with a goofy power.
Yeah,
that
it's still goofy.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
In other people's hands is fodder, right?
Yeah.
A lower tier devil fruit. It's not ice. It's not fire. You know what I mean? It's not the ability.
It's not moving at the speed of light.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
It's not some crazy, but it's not to turn into a phoenix, right? Which is why I was against, I know a lot of people wanted it to be the, like, a legendary Zoan, or mythical Zoan, like
the Monkey King,
the Wukong or something.
Wukong would have been fire, but yeah, like
see, like the only reason I'm against that is one, I think we have too many Wukongs in the world in fiction. There's so many, it's oversaturated.
I don't think you can have enough. I love Wukong, but
yeah, that's like my opinion on it, and I kind of didn't want him to just be like this broken powerhouse at the very end of the series. You know what I mean? I'm fine with the resin thing. I like it. My more fixation was, because you were on the what is this fruit? That's like the rabbit hole you fell down. Mine was the let's look at everything we know about Joy Boy and check off why this is happening. This is my personal opinion. Joy Boy is not just a soul, right? I think it is essentially a checklist of things that force. We don't know if it's like a complete reincarnate, like a soul type thing, or if it's just like an ability to emerge. I think you personally need to share a dream, right? I think it has to be a specific dream. I'm also on the group that thinks that Luffy's dream is not actually be the Pirate King, that that's just a step in it. I'm part of like the party theory. But
I haven't heard about that.
You haven't? That's a whole other thing we have to talk about then. You have to share the dream, right? You have to be at a certain power level. I assume this could not have happened when Luffy was a kid, right? So I'm assuming like Conqueror's Haki you're going to need. Maybe all three types of Haki need to be present in terms of it. Potentially a Devil Fruit Awakening. But the most important part, you need that Devil Fruit. I think that lines up well.
It's the Devil Fruit, yeah.
With why Kaido is searching for a Joy Boy. Why he thought it might have been him. Joy Boy is not necessarily like a specific person or even a title necessarily. I think it is a checklist to make an event happen. And I think we just hit all of them going down. The final one potentially being that you need to die. The final one.
We know if the Will of D, everyone with the Will of D like smiles when they die.
Yep.
And we saw Luffy smiling in that final panel.
And while I think the Devil Fruit is an important box that Kaido is missing in his quest, remember, Kaido tries to die in his opening chapter, and we know he wants nothing more than to be Joy Boy. I think it might be a necessary component to die to fulfill the Joy Boy checklist, if that's the theory like we're going with. So that's my theory.
That's pretty good.
That's what I think is going on. And that's what I'm really hyped for. Of course, too, with the character moments, Nami gets a huge one.
Yes.
Marco gets a nice one. We don't get a lot of him, so that's cool.
And even the moment between Momo and Yamato, where it's like we stare down. We're not giving up here. And like, giving up here is not salvation, and that if we're going to lose, we have to die. Like, let's do it together. It's so good.
That was amazing. 100%.
Yeah.
I think too, another great moment, because again, I'm the Law fan. The fact that they get back up and they're not like retreat, like, oh well, Kid and Law just get back up. They're like, all right, here we go again.
Like you see that they're out of gas. Like,
they're done.
Nothing left. Like they have to have their crew fight fodder for them.
Yes, they do.
Which like they can easily take out any of them. Like no questions asked. Like when they're normal. But they were so spent from fighting Big Mom that like they just have nothing left in them.
They have nothing.
And which also like fuels how desperate the situation seems.
Yeah.
Which makes me really curious to see what the heck is going on with Luffy right now in Joy Boy, and how crazy of a shift is this going to be for everything that's happening in Wano right now. Because all major players are out. Luffy, Sanji's out. The Law and Kid are out. Zoro's out. Like if Luffy doesn't pull this crazy trump card, like we're done, right?
Oh, for sure.
So I'm really excited to see where this goes, because it's like
too.
I think it's going to be something. It really feels like the end. Getting this huge revelation.
It does.
It really feels like we're going towards the end.
Oh, and I think too, now that this gets revealed, it changed my perspective. And I want to know about yours. Maybe that's how I end off this video.
Yeah.
I want to know how it changed what you thought the future of One Piece looked like. Because my interpretation, as we were going through Wano, was going to be that, they set up the Reverie thing, right? I thought Sabo was going to potentially get captured. We're going to have a mirror event, right, of what happened. This time, instead of Whitebeard, we're going to get Dragon and Luffy's fleet. They're going to invade. They're going to do a whole big war thing. That is somehow going to bounce us to like Lodestar or Laugh Tale.
Yeah.
And we're going to kind of wrap this up. And now I'm thinking that the war that Oda talked about and, what it's building up to is not going to happen by like Luffy's invasion. They might come to him. They might hear that Joy Boy is happening. They may raise an army against him, and maybe from Wano, because they have like the poneglyphs and stuff, they're grabbing them. They might go to like Lodestar or whatever it is, or Elbaf or something, and make their final stand, there. You know,
I think it's so interesting because it's like, I always like knew far off in the future when Wano's finished. We don't know what's happening in the outside world outside of Wano.
Yes.
We have no idea. So not only is the crew itself going to have no idea what happened at the Reverie, what's going on in the outside world now that the warlords are abolished, but the world doesn't know that Joy Boy is back.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a mix between both ways where both sides are finding out something huge that they had no idea about, which I think is very, very interesting.
Oh, for sure.
And what I love about this too is it really feels like there's something grand that was always here that we had no idea about and we didn't know about, which is also, and that grand thing puts Luffy at the center of everything,
as he always is.
Yeah. Which which before he had forced himself into, which is cool. Yeah. But now you see it may have always been that.
Yes,
which I think is pretty cool, and it's something that he doesn't know himself. He didn't. I think that's a really important thing. He didn't know that and didn't do it until now. Like whatever this outside X factor is that propels him into being like hugely important and everything happening. He didn't. Whatever that is, originally. What didn't matter. Yeah. It was him and his work that still got him to that point.
Why I think it feels different than other shows
where you find out he's the chosen one, and it's like
it was never going to end any other way. Again, that's why I really hope this Joy Boy thing is more of a checklist, because if Luffy had failed
at any one of those
steps, it would have looked different. Yeah. There was a chance he did fail. You know what I mean?
Very real chance at multiple points in the story.
Yeah. Whereas, if you find out that, he was the reincarnation of like God or something, and he was always going to be the savior, and there was literally no other way this shakes out.
Yeah.
And I hope they keep the power scaling relative. I want him to obviously beat Kaido.
Yes.
But I don't want it to be
a curb stomp. Like there's no other chance.
One shot. Yeah. And Kaido's weakened. He's tired. That's why I think it's going to maybe potentially look like that.
Yes. Which I think is fine because he's already at a weakened state.
He is.
Yeah.
I want it then later when he goes to... I don't want this to be a... Joy Boy comes out and curb stomps all 3 admirals at once. Or 4 admirals, I guess, technically.
I think it'll be fine because I think... What I'm thinking is that what it'll probably end up being is in terms of just like power scaling.
Yeah.
Joy Boy will be some kind of form that only activates in the worst possible situation, like when he's like on the verge of death, pretty much. So because of that, you'll only see it where there's nothing left he can do.
Yeah,
yeah, because that's kind of how it happened here, where like Joy Boy only came out after he used Gear 4 already, and there's spent everything.
I could buy that. I kind of like the you have to die theory. I like it to be this weird thing where he can't actually activate it. Luffy straight up has to get offed in a fight for Joy Boy to come out. And then it's kind of this last failsafe. Now if they kill Joy Boy, and maybe Luffy's fight to be like, nah, I don't want somebody else to win this fight for me. If Joy Boy is another person,
totally be him.
Luffy maybe in his final moments rejects Joy Boy and stands up like again
on his
long
own.
Time this is like against Akainu or whatever and it's like where's Joy Boy, I met the conditions, bring him out, and Luffy stands back and be like, nah, it's like just me, let's end this. That'd be cool.
good.
So
oh
again,
I can't wait for that.
I'm so excited.
I can't wait to find out what happens next chapter.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
when the next chapter drops, we will be here to talk about it. So thank you everyone so much for sticking by with our rambling for the first episode of Bounty Talk. We will be back to talk about chapter 1044 when it releases.
Course, naturally.
And you can find us here. We're on our YouTube channel. We will be on other streaming platforms too. We have to
we'll figure that out. We'll promote it later a bit more, but hopefully like this introductory episode and look forward to the content to come. We've got a lot of things planned.
Yes.
So, hey.
A lot of different discussions, a lot of stuff. Like we have like a whole list of different things relating to One Piece that we can talk about. So we're really excited.
So hope you guys enjoyed and, hope you come back next time for some more Bounty Talk.
Yep. All right. So until then, this has been Bounty Talk and we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.
See you.